Trafford. Let's talk about the Manchester derby. We're not right.
Micah just smiles.
I know, honestly. The look on his face was just...
the Cheshire Cat.
Right. We're banning, because we've done it so often, we're banning any talk of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future. Okay? Right?
All right,
because
Gary
it's been
Neville.
done to death.
All right,
It's not like it's relevant, is it? Hey, right? No. Don't you dare. Right, just to do something different, otherwise people are going to hear the same thing over and over and over again. How much fun was it sitting next to Roy Keane, by the way, on Saturday? Be honest.
Oh, it was brilliant, wasn't it? I mean, yeah, he lost his temper, let's say, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
were you provoking him?
No, I was not provoking him.
Were you not? When they went to commercial break, were you just whispering Fred into his ear? Were you?
Oh, but he is right to a certain extent, though, isn't he? I mean, how many times does he have to put in a performance that is not that great? And I'm never going to be one of them pundits who slag off players. I'm never going to do it. It's not my way. But you've got other options on the bench. It's like you're making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Why not just give Van der Beek a run out? Why not? Surely he can't do worse than that. Surely. I just don't understand with Man United. I mean, they've got such good players, but they just don't know what they're doing. I mean, they went to a 5 at the back, and all they had to do is push Foden onto Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka couldn't get out. Fernandes wasn't helping Wan-Bissaka one bit. He was staying inside, so it was being like it was supposed to be a 3-5-2 or whatever, but it ended up being a 5-3-2. So Wan-Bissaka couldn't get out. Then Bruno Fernandes was nearest, but he couldn't get out to help Wan-Bissaka quick enough. Cancelo just had all the space in the world. He said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put one in with my left foot. Okay, no one's going to... Fernandes is not going to close me down on that. So, and then Wan-Bissaka is in two minds again. Okay, I'm not going to go with my left foot, I'm going to go with my right foot. But surely, after the first goal, you can see, forget Ole, like you said, forget Ole for now. Just as a team, you know what the positives of or how the game is going. If I'm in that position and I'm in Wan-Bissaka, I'm saying to whoever, Greenwood or Fernandes, come and help me out. Stay there. Do not move, because they're getting too much joy down this side. But it just kept happening and happening. And then when they got in an area to engage Man United, they weren't even pressing with there was no desire, there was no spirit, there was nothing.
Do you know the reports are right that Aaron Wan-Bissaka was chosen from a database of 805 right backs when United needed to. What, you're right, Micah. When United needed to fill that position, right?
Okay, so how's your stats now then? Hang on. So
on their database, they had 805 right backs, which makes me think that they must have had Micah on it. They had so many right backs on their database, right? You've got to wonder, Rory, where Cancelo was on that database. Bearing in mind, and these are, I appreciate I'm reading stats again, but I do think these are relevant here. Cancelo, in the derby, managed 45 passes in the final third. United's team total was 73. Ronaldo had 27 touches. Cancelo, the right back, or the full back, had one, because he was left back, wasn't he, the other day, had 125. So he had 98 more touches than Ronaldo. Right? So you have to wonder where Cancelo was on the database of 805 right backs.
Well, my knowledge isn't, off the top of my head, isn't perfect. My guess is Cancelo was at Valencia at the time. I mean, I can't imagine that a club like Manchester United would be able to send a scout to watch a team as minor and irrelevant as Valencia. Just seems really unlikely.
Or have any contacts between the two clubs.
Do they play football in Spain? Very hard to say, to be honest. It's I mean, that was a weird boast. I think it was Ed Woodward who made that boast that they'd scouted. I thought it was 738 right backs, to be fair, but it was a lot of right backs. I suspect is just having a subscription to Y-Scout. That's the database which you and I could have if we paid the fee. There's lots of questions about Man United's recruitment. My guess is that Cancelo was in a poor team for a while at Valencia. They weren't great. It was a bit weird that Juve swapped him for Danilo in one of those deals that the Italians love, where two players of different values suddenly happen to be worth the same value just around the time that FFP needs to be met. But it was a great deal for City. The fact that United, we could sit here for the next 21 minutes and list players that Man United didn't sign.
Yeah, but I think it's a bit unfair to just single out Wan-Bissaka.
100%. And Wan-Bissaka, don't forget, he was playing in the Premier League. So when you buy it, looking at a database, you're looking at it, you look at, can the pass, can the defend, can the attack, positioning, all of them things, but then a big decision that clubs have to make is, can they do it in the Premier League? So can they match the physicality? That's a massive one. And if you're playing like Pep, to be honest, you've always got the ball, so you don't. And Wan-Bissaka is a very good one-on-one defender. If anything, he should be in a free at the back, right of the free at the back, not the wing back, because we know Wan-Bissaka offensively, that is not his strong point. So he's playing in a position where really he's sort of set up to fail a little bit. How many times, if we look at the stats, you're a stat man, Mark, you're a stat man, Rory. If you look at probably one-on-one duels, he couldn't get past Wan-Bissaka at times. That's his strength, defending. But if you put him as a wing back, then it's not gonna work. It's just all his work he's doing is defensively, because that's his position he's used to.
This is Manchester United in a nutshell, isn't it? That Wan-Bissaka probably is a good right back in a team that does a lot of defending. Basically, that's where Wan-Bissaka would be able to showcase his strengths. It's why he looked really good at Palace, because Palace did a lot of defending. In the same way, when you can sign a goalkeeper from a relegation-threatened club because they've made a load of saves, but they'll be dreadful with their feet because they're not used to being part of the building the play. You have to kind of sign players dependent on context. I agree with you about making sure they do it in the Premier League, but that's not the only context you have to take into consideration. But the problem at United is they've got a load of players, some of them the greatest in history, who are being asked to play in a system that does not suit them. And the worst thing, if you take Solskjaer out of it, who we're not allowed to talk about, is that there is not a system available to a football team that plays 11 players that you can get all of Man United's big signings, their big superstars, into, that gets the best out of each of them, which is the basic role of squad planning. That's what you're meant to do. You say, right, if we have Pogba and Rashford and Greenwood and Sancho and Fernandes, can we get them all into a system? And the answer is you can't, because Fernandes has to play as a 10, Pogba needs to play in a 3 to get they can all do different jobs, but to get the absolute best out of them, you play Pogba on the left side of a 3 and Fernandes as a 10. There you go. That doesn't work. There isn't a system that enables you to play those two positions.
I just think Wan-Bissaka was exposed with the way that Manchester United set out. So they go out with the three centre halves, two wing backs. You're talking about McTominay, Fred, Bruno Fernandes. One of them has to get out to the Manchester City left back. Two v1s in wide areas, and this is. That's why we aren't allowed to talk too much about Manchester United. We bang on about the same thing every week. There are two things: in possession, out of possession. Manchester United under Solskjaer have had a huge problem when they're out of possession because some of the players just don't run.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the players can all be criticised, really. I know, Micah, you don't want to criticise the players, but they all deserve a bit, really, after some of their performances in recent weeks, whether you want to give them criticism or not. But it's amazing how many players become better when they leave United.
Yeah, because
isn't it? We had the Milan derby on in the office last night, right? Matteo Darmian won one of Inter's penalties last night as a marauding fullback. Matteo Darmian barely got a look in when he was at United. I mean, this is a whole environment, as we've talked about so often before, that doesn't appear to allow players to reach their potential.
Yeah, but I think it's difficult though, because it's Man United, and the expectations are massive. It's different playing for... If it was AC Milan of years ago when they was at the top, yeah, that's immense pressure. Inter Milan when they was winning stuff with Mourinho and all that. But now you go over there, and although they're doing very well, and I know Inter won a league, but Man United now, they're just under the spotlight. And a lot of the players now, they haven't got the character.
Oh, come on, Inter Milan's under the spotlight. You can't tell me. Look, I know United are a big club.
Their managers don't turn around and say, we're the biggest club in Manchester, we're the biggest club in the world. I mean, Manchester United are just, they're still living off the history of when they were a good team. And that's the issue. And there are no excuses. There's nowhere to hide this season. 140 million spent. And, look, I like Ole. He's a nice bloke. But, he's being out-coached and out-thought by these top guys. Yep. I mean, what was the most disappointing thing of the weekend, and I'm not a Manchester City or a United fan, it was a boring derby game. It seemed flat for me. There wasn't any intensity. It was an easy win for Manchester City. It wasn't a contest. So when's Ed Woodward going to smell the coffee? Actually sit up and think, this isn't good enough. We need to make a change. Norwich are more ambitious than Manchester United. I'm telling you, they are, because at least they've been decisive. What's the expectation of Norwich? Well, Norwich want to stay in the Premier League. A lot of people accuse them of not wanting to stay in the Premier League, but they have made a change, rightly or wrongly. But Manchester United, what's the expectation this year after last year was to win something? Are they going to win something with this current manager, with this current squad? No. Everybody can see that.
I thought we're not allowed to talk about Solskjaer. I thought we're parking that. It didn't take you very long.
Talking about the club as a whole.
Okay, but I just think we Man United, as much as some of the players have to take a little bit of responsibility on the pitch. We're not talking about outplaying Man City. We're just talking about putting in a tackle, urgency when you want to go put in a tackle, talking to your teammates. There was none of it. Man City just toyed with them. I couldn't believe I was at. That game was actually like a training game. The atmosphere. I was at the game and I couldn't believe that it was a derby. Man City was toying with them. And then Ronaldo gets a little bit frustrated at the end, getting a yellow card, thinking, what is happening here? And to be honest, something needs.
Well, I've heard some former players say, the crowd at Old Trafford, the matchday fans are still fully supportive, and the matchday fans, Micah, are not booing, and they're not giving Solskjaer abuse, but there were a couple of cheers actually. That indicated, I've heard several United fans say this from being at Old Trafford, that just indicated where they are disagreeing with the way the club is going. One was when Van der Beek was brought on for Fred. There was huge cheers there, as in, at long last, he's on. And there was another one, I think it was in the first half, when rather than try and pass the ball around at the back, De Gea decided to hoof it. And there was a massive cheer at that point as well. So the fans are, at the games, showing where they aren't happy. But they're not doing it in a booing way.
No, the fans have not turned. Like, a lot of clubs would be, the fans could have turned by now. But that is the problem, because of Solskjaer is such a legend. They've still got that respect for, but they need to see more, a little bit more from the players. I think the fans was more shocked what they were seeing. That they was in shock like I was. I couldn't believe what I was seeing at Old Trafford. I've been to Old Trafford for 15 years, been there, watching and playing there, and I've never seen an atmosphere where the crowd was just stunned by what they were seeing, especially in a derby.